Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So we're just back from summer break. In August, for us, the Buddha is sleeping. So we have a ceremony of closure to wish sweet dreams to the Buddha for the month of August. And then tonight, when we restart, there's no ceremony or acknowledgement at all, because practice is continuous. We make no deal of it whatsoever. We're just back on the cushion in the timeless space of Zazen. So I'll say for myself, it feels wonderful to be in that space again with all of you. Tonight I want to talk about gratitude. And I'd like to begin by introducing my mother, Winona Brown Ward, who died in 2010. And in 2001, she coordinated a trip with my father, Hugh Thomas Ward, whose Alzheimer's was already somewhat advanced at that time. And my three sisters, she coordinated this trip from the folks living around Louisiana and around Tennessee, my family, and came out here to attend the Tokudo ceremony that Reverend Jikyo and I had with Edo Roshi. Tokudo is monk's ordination. And I've been reflecting on that trip and on how much, how much she gave to me and how remarkable the gifts I received from her are. I don't think my father knew what was going on, but he was at peace during that time. He sometimes had difficulty with some paranoia and things during his Alzheimer's, but here he was smiling and laughing and having a good time. And I remember a couple of things. Edo-san served my mother a dinner, and my mother's from Louisiana, lifetime Louisianian. And Edo-san prepared some kale, which, Pacific Northwest kale dish is gonna not really resemble collard greens or something like that from Louisiana. So my mother, I think Edo-san asked her how everything tasted, and she said, the greens are a little chewy. And a comment my father made, I think as they were getting ready to leave, to me, he said, sort of pointing to Edo-san, I like that guy. So in regards to my teacher, Edo Francis Carney Roshi, I could say so many things, and I will over time say as many things as I can. But for tonight, she's the abbot of our temple, Ryokoan, Olympia Zen Center. She is a tireless visionary and true Zen master in the old school sense. She makes no compromise with her practice, with her art, with her commitment to others, her generosity. She has the most remarkable restraint in her teaching of the Dharma, expecting the students, us, to notice the Dharma as she simply manifests it without pretense. And she's done that for decades here. And I know that my failures to notice the manifesting Dharma that she presents are more numerous than my successes in noticing. But I think this thing, noticing, you could also say attention, focus, concentration. For me, in practice over the years, I've come to recognize what a muscular activity that is, an actual turning of a focus, like on a telescope or a microscope. You can feel the turning and the effort. Very subtle, but concentration and noticing in this way as relates to a practice like ours, I think is deeply related to gratitude, and everything that Edo-san created here in this temple is a direct manifestation of gratitude. And gratitude is a muscular, engaged activity as well, very active, concrete. She and I have shared so many wonderful laughs together over the years, just amazing laughs for all sorts of crazy things. We've also shared so many productive and meaningful struggles with one another, nearly continuous misunderstandings. And there is no amount of effort I could make for the rest of my time here that could repay her kindness. Her teacher is Niho Tetsume Roshi, the abbot of Ensuji in Japan, our home temple and our lineage. I was able to practice with him for a few brief days in 2006 when Edo Roshi led a most wondrous pilgrimage to Japan. And we stayed at Ensuji for a few days and went to other temples around, went to the founding temple of all Soto Zen, Eiheiji, for one night, and we got to sit in all these places. But what I remember of Niho Roshi, I should mention Mrs. Niho, who is the engine of the temple for many, many decades. She does everything there, and she and Niho Roshi make a most powerful team. But Niho Roshi's presence was so gentle and kind, highly focused, incredibly graceful. And Edo-san speaks so highly of him. I like to think that our beloved ancestor Ryokan is certainly manifest in his grace and humor and creative energy. He's still at 85, working on a project to start another temple. Before we had our closure period in August, we had our 25-year anniversary here, and it was a really, really wonderful event, all afternoon and evening, and we had quite a number of visiting priests from around, and I just felt such a sense of belonging in the Soto Zen larger world because of their presence, that we are here in our little Ryokoan Olympia Zen Center. We're known and respected. Edo-san certainly is deeply respected as a founder of a temple. And we have friends in the Dharma that we got to meet. And it was just wonderful. One of the guests, Galen Godwin, whose Buddhist name is Konjin. So Reverend Konjin Galen Godwin. I met her when I went to Tassajara in 1987. Tassajara is a Zen Shinji monastery in California. And so she and I were in the entering class of 1987, and we sat Tangario together, which is the traditional waiting at the gate to be allowed entrance to the temple to practice. So in Zen, in Soto Zen, there's the lore of coming to seek the Dharma at a temple with the master. And in order to show one's sincerity, one sits quietly and in stillness and concentration just outside the gate until they let you in. And so this tradition at Tassajara is 5 days, and we participate with the other monks who have done Tangario, but when they're finished with morning zazen and breakfast, ceremony and breakfast, they go and do work and things like that, and the Tangario class stays in the zendo without any bells or candles or any ceremonial anything. And you stay for 5 days. Now you go to bed and everything, but still, it's a rite of passage and it's intense. But anyway, Galen and I were there. I was there for a little over 3 years, and she stayed, and she went on to become a full priest. And now she's abbot of Houston Zen Center. She's also holds a high role in the Soto Zen North America organization, director of international programs, something like that. So anyway, she's a wonderful teacher, and she and I had a connection at Tassajara. When I was there, I was in my 20s, really stupid guy. But let me say that I happened to find myself there because I was reading about Zen, and I was reading Alan Watts, and I was reading everything you read when you're in your 20s and thus disposed, autobiography of a yogi and all the things. But what I discovered was, hey, there's an opportunity to go to this monastery. And if you work for the summer guest period, which is how they made their money, you can stay for the monastic period, which is the rest of the year. And because I was so interested, I had to know, because of my reading and my prior interest, I had to know what it is that the Zen masters experienced in Zen training and in the monastery. What was that experience? So I had to know. So anyway, Galen and I had a wonderful connection, a lot of laughs, and we did every role that you have. They rotated roles in the monastery regularly, so you got to do a little bit of everything if you stayed there for a while. And anyway, I haven't seen Galen really since then. I think in passing I saw her at a ceremony or two over the years, but this was the first time I got to talk with her. And that connection was immediately there again, a feeling of great gratitude and friendship and just mutual appreciation. And I felt so warm from seeing that old friend in the Dharma. Those of us here who have taken the precepts, the Bodhisattva vows, and have sewed rakusu, or Steve and I are novice priests wearing black okesa. So we've taken vows, monks' vows at that level. Those of us who've done that here and who have a home here, who've made a home here, we are the Order of Ryokan. And Ryokan, of course, is the poet, calligrapher, hermit monk from the 17 and 1800s who lived in a little hut. We have a replica of it out there. Go on. 10 by 10. He lived there for many years alone on the hillside in the woods, and would walk down to the town to beg for food and to play with the children and to visit friends and visit people who were sick. And so his life was an expression of gratitude in the Dharma. He ran away from official Zen practice and never returned. But he lived out the original Dharma in a way that to me reveals profound gratitude and connection and active expression of awakening. So we're here in the middle of this amazing gem that the Order of Ryokan, under the leadership of a remarkable Zen master, Eido Roshi, have created. And it's a privilege beyond understanding. And I think the only response to finding ourselves here, finding myself here, is activating generosity through noticing and responding. Everything in the Dharma is a matter of noticing and responding. So the ceremonies we do, anyone can learn them, but no one's going to chase you down and say, learn this. You have to actively come forward and say, I want to do this or I want to do that. And when you do, you're in big trouble. Because it never ends. But would we want gratitude to ever end? Would we want the expression of the Dharma to ever end? So, awakening is one thing. Awakening to the present moment is one thing, but in a way it's kind of just the beginning. The rest of it is active, concrete, responding to the world and to others. I'm here for the first time in robes in a long time, monk's robes, okesa. Steve and I, as I mentioned, are training priests. Edo Roshi is the abbot and a full priest and teacher, Zen master. Steve and I have a long way to go. I feel I'm once again an infant. I'm trying to figure out what my limbs do and what the clothing does and what my toes are and all those kinds of things. So I'm very, very infantile. I think a lot of you knew that. Some of you knew that. Anyway, obviously a lot of reflection and consideration went into the fact that I'm in robes again. As I mentioned, I took monk's vows in 2001 with Reverend Jikyo, but I disrobed after it was actually about 15 years. Not as a monk. I was at Olympia Zen Center. I was a monk, training monk for 7 years, but then I disrobed and left the temple for some time. But it seems to me, my experience of all of this returning and landing here, again with Okesa, is exactly the same as the Buddha sleeping in August and making nothing of it when you're back on the cushion. It's nothing. I'll get used to the clothes and the toes and everything. So I think that we'll have plenty of time to talk as we go forward in practice. A lot of new folks here tonight. We'll introduce ourselves after we wrap up here. But and everyone's welcome to attend any part of the schedule. If you get the newsletter, it's always there. The latest news is there. The website has our schedule. You're welcome to come in and join practice and see what it's about. Try it out. Try it out if you want. And the order of Ryokan will continue making effort and noticing and responding and feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the Sangha and the Buddha, the teacher, and the Dharma, the teaching. So why don't we stop there? Thank you.